Hi, this is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6 Delta Alpha Yankee, and for today's video, since I've been talking so much about the Baofeng UV-17R and UV-17 Pro GPS, I thought I'd go ahead and throw a shameless plug in for some products that we manufacture here at my day job, which is Specter gear. It's every now and again I got to kind of remind people that one of the things that keeps the lights on around here is people patronizing our company, and radio pouches is one of the things that are one of the products that we manufacture, in addition to slings and other types of belt pouches and belts and buttstock magazine pouches. We also have a full line of radio pouches for commercial radios, our commercial amateur radios, GMRS radios, etc. Everything from the Baofeng UV-5R all the way up to the Yaesu FT5DR and everything in between. We should have a pouch that should accommodate your needs. But specifically, I want to talk today about the pouches we make for the Baofeng UV-17R and UV-17 Pro. And of course, that would apply to any of the radios that are built on this chassis, whether it's the 17 Pro, 17 Pro GPS, 17R, 17L, the BF, I believe 17H. They all fit into the same pouch. And we have two different versions of that pouch. We have one that is set up to attach to modular or MOLLE carriers, and of course we have a belt-mounted pouch. Now, pouch carry is something that I advocate pretty highly, especially if you're going to be using your radio in an active environment. Having a belt clip is okay. Belt clips are good for hasty carry and recreational use, but as far as hard use on a trail, clipping a radio to my belt or my pack with just a belt clip alone, that's a little bit risky, because there's a good chance that you might need that radio, reach for it, and find out that it's somewhere down the trail, and who knows where it might be. So putting it into a pouch is a better way of assuring that your radio is going to be there when you need it. And like I said, we have two different versions for that purpose, so you can attach it to the MOLLE on a carrier or a pack or your belt. Let me talk about how the pouches are constructed, and then we'll get to the actual attachment methods. But each of these pouches are constructed from 1000 denier Cordura nylon with a 420 denier pack cloth liner. It features a Velcro closure, which I'll get to in just a moment, but at the bottom of the pouch we have a number 0 drain hole grommet, which allows any water or debris to exit the bottom of the pouch and not build up at the bottom of the pouch. The pouch itself is designed with this elastic that travels through this little tunnel on the Velcro closure, and what that elastic does is it maintains the pouch in its minimal configuration. And what I mean by that is, with the radio inserted with no belt clip and no accessories plugged into the side port, the elastic is pretty much at its baseline point. Now, should you happen to try to use this with a belt clip on there, which I'm going to recommend against, especially with this radio because of how thick it is front to back, for best results you're going to want to run this without the belt clip on it, but it will fit in there with a belt clip on. It just doesn't fit in there very well at all. But also, if you have a speaker mic plugged into the side of the radio, it then allows the pouch to expand out. And I'll show the speaker mic going in just a little bit, because I want to show a couple of methods for making it easier to get the radio in and out of the pouch with the speaker mic attached. But this elastic, as I said, allows the pouch to expand and contract based on what you've got plugged into or attached to the radio. Now, the closure itself is controlled with this double 550 cord arrangement that rides between the antenna and the volume control knob, or on other radios it might be between the channel control knob and the volume, or it may straddle. A lot of times I'll actually straddle the center knob with one cord on one side and one on the other. But in any case, it's designed to hold the radio into the pouch, and as I mentioned, it is a Velcro closure. Now, the reason we went with a Velcro closure and we didn't go with like a snap or some kind of side release buckle is the placement of that would put it, if you look at the radio and kind of relatively where that buckle might be, it would be kind of over this area. Now, what that means is, if you bump into something, have to take a prone position, or you have to crawl, or what have you, what that piece of hardware is going to do is going to focus and impart that energy into the front of the radio. That's going to mean your screens or your keys. Now, it's bad enough I can't do anything to prevent damage should you bump into something with the radio in the pouch, but what I can do is make sure that we don't attach anything to the pouch that's going to aggravate that situation. And putting a buckle on there certainly would. The Velcro is perfectly acceptable for retaining the radio in the pouch, not a problem at all. So we went with that method. Now this is an adjustable system, so that if you need to adjust this for height, now going out of the factory, we tend to set these up exactly for the radio that's intended for the pouch in terms of the adjustment height on the adjuster at the back. But you may find you have another radio you might want to try in here that might be a little bit taller if that's the case, or maybe the radio is a little bit shorter. This is also secured with Velcro, and you can move this vertically. For instance, I move it up there, and it might go ahead and allow me to put a taller radio in there. And of course, I can sink it down nice and low, and I could cinch it down for a radio that might be shorter. And I tend to do that a lot, actually. I have this particular pouch size I tend to run on my EDC bag, and a lot of times I'll put radios in that are smaller than necessary for the pouch. Works just fine. It doesn't look perfect, but it definitely retains it in the pouch with no problem. So this entire pouch body assembly, of course, is attached to a back face, and this back face is 2 layers of 1000 denier Cordura nylon with 2 layers of 1250 ballistic nylon in there for extra rigidity, and also to allow us to put these heavy-duty stitches in here. And as you can see from the stitch work, as Specter gear, we do not mess around with our stitching. We make sure that we put these things together to last a good long time and give years of dependable service, and we've had pretty good results with that. So looking at the back of the pouch, let's talk about the attachment methods. We'll start with the modular system first. This will work with all mil-spec MOLLE systems out there, but it does feature our Specter snap system, which is a little different than a traditional mil-spec system. And that is, with the mil-spec systems, the snaps are integral to the back face, so you would have a snap that's installed at the bottom. Now, if you happen to have a snap failure or a strap failure completely, in order to fix that, you have to tear the entire pouch apart. And in a lot of cases, that might necessitate buying an entirely new pouch. But if you have a failure with this system, the strap is removable and replaceable in the field with no problem whatsoever. So it's a pretty versatile system across the board. Now for our belt-mounted version, what that features is our wraparound belt loop system. Now where this differs from a traditional sewn-in belt loop system is with a sewn-in belt loop system, and before I get into this, let me explain that this is designed to fit both 2-inch type duty and tactical belts, but it'll also fit 1 3/4-inch riggers belts that a lot of us use as our carry belts for CCW. So if it's one of those 1 3/4-inch riggers belts, or a 1 3/4-inch wide belt for that matter, which is your traditional belt loop on a pair of jeans, that's about the max you can go. This is designed to work with that just fine. But if you're using this on an actual duty or tactical type belt, a 2-inch belt, what you would have to do with a traditional belt loop system is, in order to install this pouch on the belt, you have to remove all the pouches in the belt and slide this on and put all the pouches back on. With this system, because it opens up, all you need is just an appropriate size to accommodate the width of the pouch, a vacancy on the belt. You find that vacancy, wrap it around the belt, and you're good to go. Now, you might notice this little pad here. And what this pad is for those cases where it's either an unlined belt or you're using this with pants belts. But before I get to that, let me show you why we have this cover on here. Because we have a piece of Velcro loop material covering some corresponding Velcro hook material. Now, if you're utilizing a duty or tactical belt such as our Specter Gear Tac Ops belt that is lined on the inside with Velcro loop material, what happens when you close this wraparound belt loop system down is this Velcro hook material engages that Velcro loop material, and then when you close this down, it locks the pouch in place so it will resist any lateral movement and it won't shift on the belt, so your pouch is always going to be in a consistent spot on your belt every single time. But as I mentioned, if you're using an unlined belt, we have this cover because this Velcro hook material will chew up the fibers on a a nylon type belt pretty darn quickly. So if you're using this with an unlined belt, or if you're using this with the aforementioned rigger's belt or pants belt, what you do is, well, this of course will resist you tearing that belt up, but in order to do that, you just simply close this down into its minimal configuration, and then you just utilize this opening as a traditional sewn in belt loop. So you can slide this right onto a pants belt and you're good to go. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this pouch will accommodate the radio with or without a belt clip, and it'll also accommodate with or without a speaker mic. Now, let me show you first off on the belt clip and give you a quick comparison. So the pouch without the belt clip, the fit is just fine. No problems whatsoever. But let me show you real quick the issue with the belt clip. Like I said, some thinner radios you can get away with it. For instance, I can get away with using a belt clip or no belt clip with like an FT65 or a UV5R. But with this thing, this really does represent quite a bit more thickness off of here. It's verging on about 5/8 of an inch. So as I mentioned, it will go on, but it deforms the back of the pouch quite a lot, and it's going to be a pretty tight fit. So again, recommended that you run this without the belt clip installed. But let me show you with the speaker mic. I'm going to show you what it looks like going into the pouch, and I'm also going to show you a tip for getting it into the pouch. So with our speaker mic attached, I mentioned in the UV-17R review that I did, and I'll say it again, I don't really care for these fold down setups like this. Whether you're running it in a pouch or not, getting into a pouch is always a hassle because you got to get this out of the way. If you're not running it in a pouch, you got this giant wing hanging off the side of the radio to constantly catch on things, to knock the radio over with. So not my favorite setup whatsoever. If I was going to run a speaker mic on this radio all the time, I would probably just remove this cover altogether. But if you're attempting to get this into your pouch, what you're going to want to do, of course, is press that down and get that out of the way. It's not going to fold up over, so you're going to want to hold your thumb on that cover, and then as you insert it in, what I'm going to recommend is that you give it a little bit of a twist. Now, it'll go in just fine without that, but on some of the radios, particularly the Yaesus, the FT65 really has a lot of standoff on the side here. So this is just kind of a generalized tip for everybody. But as you're inserting into the pouch, just give it just a little turn, and it opens up a nice void there, and then you can just press it right in. It goes in no problem. And once it's in there, to pull it out, it just comes right out with no problem whatsoever. But yes, this will hold this just fine, and you can see here, like I said, earlier, the elastic allows the pouch to expand just a little bit and still keep a fairly tight fit all the way around on the radio within the pouch. So that's pretty much it in regards to the radio pouch. Like I said, we have the modular version, we have the belt-mounted version. And if you're interested in these products or any of our other products like our slings or our belts or our magazine pouches or what have you, please feel free to swing by and visit us at spectergear.com. Like I said, we've got a pretty wide variety of accessories that might interest you, and we are going to be getting into some more radio-related accessories moving forward. So with that, I talked long enough. Thank you very much for watching and or listening. This is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee from Southwest Visalia, California. Have a wonderful day.